My man. Blessings, guys. Blessings so much.
Thanks,
yeah,
champ.
brother. Thank you.
Yeah,
bro. I listen to your shit now.
Yeah, say that one more time.
Hey, you already know. You know, I listen to my man Ego. Y'all got to represent and tune in.
All right, boss.
He speak the realest.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, bro. Many people ask me about the franchise belt or whatever. I don't know much about it. I'm you know, it's what I'm hearing that allows you to stay a champion. You don't have to fight mandatories and stuff like that. And if that's the case, then I'm not interested in that. Yeah, I want the mandatory. That's what makes the sport. Guys work their way up, work hard to become number 1 and number 2, and then become a mandatory. Why would you crown someone that eliminates all that? You don't have mandatories and different things like that. I love to be able to have a mandatory, him sitting, and the more he wait, the more he get frustrated about certain things, and then when the fight comes, you had me waiting all this time. I'm ready. You know, it's always the build up to the fight. And when you take that away, when you take certain things away from boxing, you know what I mean, you take the charisma away from it, you take the excitement away from it, and that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to take the excitement away from anyone. Hopefully, you know, nothing come my way about a franchise belt. You know, I don't have nothing against guys that have taken it and stuff. I'm just listening to the fans, and I'm listening to my heart as well too. I don't think being a franchise champion would fit me. If they want to, you know, if they want to get someone else that belt over me, then I'm fine with that.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, takes a stand and puts his foot down, says he's not interested in becoming a franchise champion in boxing. Ooh. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel as I am an affiliate. Now, Deontay Wilder, he had his media day yesterday. He's preparing, obviously, for his upcoming fight against none other than Luis King Kong Ortiz. In my opinion, that's a very dangerous fight. I think it's a dangerous fight because you look at Luis Ortiz, southpaw, skilled, 350-plus amateur fights, hurt Wilder in the first fight, and gave him all the problems in the world. You know, he gave Wilder real problems, serious problems in round 7. And normally in boxing, you don't give the more tactical, technical boxer an opportunity to figure out the guy who doesn't have as much technique as the first guy, like Floyd Mayweather. You know, he's the pure boxer. You wouldn't give him 2 shots at Maidana to get something done and expect Floyd to lose. But Wilder is so confident and believes what he's saying so much that no one else wants to fight Luis Ortiz, and he's willing to do it. He, out of all people, at least fought him once and got a stoppage. He got by it, and he could easily have went on and took a Tom Schwartz or Otto Wallin like Tyson Fury did, and just waited for the Tyson Fury, you know, just something to stay in shape, get another knockout, something like that. But he's going after greatness, and it's apparent. He says, all my fights from last year were good. People liked them. And if there was any controversy, we're going to eliminate that right here and now. So he's on path and on par to be, you know, really respected even more so. Now, at his media day, he just denounced the idea of becoming the franchise champion, which I think is impactful. And on my channel, you know, what Wilder's doing, I always encourage. Just because I tell you guys all the time, there's strength in numbers. Boxing fans are constantly treated bad, you know, premature stoppages, crazy scorecards, fights look fixed, you know, you name it, you know, just fights that don't happen and they're in the same division, politics, sides of the street, all these types of things. We as boxing fans, we don't have the same rule set as other sports, NFL, NBA, and all we got is us. And if the people don't speak up and the fighters don't speak up, then a lot of this stuff is going to continue. And I really respect Deontay Wilder for saying and publicly putting a face to the quote, I'm not really interested in becoming a franchise champion. Like, what does that really do for me? And I'm going to get into his quote. You guys heard it at the beginning, but I'll I'll re-paraphrase I'll re-quote what he said. He said, if Canelo accepts it and he's happy with it, then congratulations. The only thing I can say about it is that many people have asked me about the franchise belt. I don't know much about it, but what I'm hearing is it allows you to stay a champion and you don't have to fight mandatories and stuff like that. If that's the case, then I'm not interested in that. I want the mandatory because that's what makes guys work their way up. And they work hard to become number one, rank number two, and then become your mandatory. Why would you crown someone that eliminates all of that and you don't have mandatories and different things like that? I would love to be able to have a mandatory and have him sitting, and then the more he's waiting, the more he's getting frustrated about certain things. And then when the fight comes, you've had me waiting all this time already. It's always the things that build up the fight. When you take it away and you take certain things away from boxing, you take away the charisma and you take that away from it. You take the excitement away from it. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to take the excitement away from anybody, right? He says, so, basically, I'm going to just paraphrase the rest. He said, so basically, if they offer me the franchise title, no offense to anybody else that decides to take one or does take it, but that's not really up my lane. That's not what I'm really checking for. That doesn't really fit me. So if they want to overlook me and give it to somebody else, then, I'm good with that. He said, I got to go with the fans, with the fans, how they receive it. I'm the people's champ. And I also have to go with my heart. And that don't sit well with me, just to give me a clean slate and, etch a sketch. That's what it's like. It's like an etch a sketch. It's like painting, like some of you guys won't remember etch a sketch, but it's old school toy. Just Google it. And you can draw pictures with these two little knobs. And then when you shake it, it just starts. That's what it is. You got Devin Haney drawing a picture, trying to get up and get respect and get his bars up to get to the shot. You got Jamal Charlo, drawing a picture, painting the masterpieces until he's worked his way up the spot, done everything that the WBC told him to do. Haney done everything the WBC told him to do. And then when it looks like they should be like, there's nothing else that could happen, and they should be in line to fight the champion. Finally, they're number one rated, mandatory. It got to get ordered. All of a sudden, this franchise thing came about this year. Horrible look. I don't know why the WBC decided to do that, but you've seen more and more people, Terrence Crawford, Gervonta Davis, now Deontay Wilder, and they're all speaking out. I think Wilder spoke out, with the I think it's kind of just Wilder's demeanor, but when he speaks, you can tell he's not BSing. He's passionate about what he's saying, and I respect him for it because he was very professional. So you can't use it like when he said he wanted to catch a body and people are like, oh, this is heinous and what a thug, and I can't believe he would say that. He was very respectable. He didn't diss Canelo. He didn't bash anyone, future franchise champions or nothing. He just said that's not my cup of tea, and he explained why. I think more fighters you'll see with this, especially with social media age, they're going to start standing up more and more because places like my channel, new media, also people that are bold enough, Deontay Wilder, to stand on your own too, Terrence Crawford, just to name a few, they're speaking out, and then now it becomes okay. See, the thing is, all it takes is a few. It takes those courageous few. Let's say Harriet Tubman. I ain't seen the movie and all that shit, but let's say Harriet Tubman, trying to find the Underground Railroad. She's trying to lead people to, to freedom and shit. It just took a few people, and then, okay, we got there safely, and then come back, get some more people. You know what I'm saying? And it's that same type of principle that I think can take boxing back into yesteryear, when the Mike Tyson 80s and stuff where, I'm sure there's politics and Don King and that and stuff, but we've gotten to a point where boxing is just like people just making up their rules like as they go and stuff. And I don't think that's what boxing is about, inconsistent rules and stuff like that. And I really want to see the sport grow. and compete with the NBA. Like if there's a NBA playoff game and a boxing match, that some people and a lot of people genuinely want to see the boxing match more than the NBA, but that's not always the case unless your name is Floyd Mayweather. And the only way we get there is start cleaning up our act. And it's going to take for people like myself, hold me accountable. You know, I always try to do my best job, put my best foot forward, you know, entertain, educate, speak, you know, get on the ground, you know, on the field, in the field with the work, you know, all that. People like Wilder, who's bold enough to, you know, be the WBC champion and say, you know, hard pass. I'm not interested. I don't want to be the franchise champion. I want to earn it. You still need mandatories. You don't have to give me like special privileges. That's kind of what it means. You know, this franchise champion, another reason it's a bad look is the times I've seen where there's a video, literally you can YouTube this, and Mauricio Suleiman, WBC president, is being asked about this. And the title of the video is, yeah, the franchise champion is very confusing. Like you made the procedural like changes to create this belt, but when people have questions about it, it doesn't seem like one standard of why it was created. It's how can you make a belt and then say it's confusing that how you did it? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have like more of a direct answer that people can follow. It's not just like having an answer. It's just a direct rationale that you could publicly say that people could follow and be like, oh, I see that. Like, for example, if you were to ask PBC about, hey, why are you putting Errol Spence on pay-per-view? Then they can probably pull out stats, say, hey, we had him at Frisco at the Star. He fought an unknown mandatory, Ocampo, and it did 14,500 seats. And then after that, we put him in with, you know, Mikey Garcia, and they did 51,000 seats in the AT&T Stadium, the bigger Jerry Jones Stadium. And then we just had him in the Staples Center, and he did similar pay-per-view numbers, 350,000 views, and it was a lit crowd of 16,000. So that's why we're keeping him on pay-per-view. You see, it makes sense. From a business perspective, a business can explain that. But I've yet to see or hear anything from the WBC or elsewhere that really justifies how Devin Haney works his way up, does everything the WBC says, is now champion. Charlo is now champion. See, that's cool. But what fighter wants to become a champion without having got the belt from him? And to me, it robs the fighter and the fans of seeing the fight. Like, why? That's like Josh Taylor fought Regis Prograis. You know, let's say they had a rule where if you cuss, then you get disqualified. And then Regis Prograis was in the finals with Josh Taylor, and then he said a curse word and got disqualified. And then by default, Josh Taylor wins his belt and becomes the man. That would be totally different than Josh Taylor putting on the performance he did and beating a fellow champion in a unification, you know? So I don't even understand what the concept was or how anybody who created this, like the WBC, would even imagine this would fare well with boxing. You know, like fans would understand this. You got Devin Haney at Lomachenko's throat, and then all Top Rank and Lomachenko's team have to do is ask to be franchised. Hey, you did this for Canelo. Can we become one? And then now all of a sudden, poof, overnight, Devin Haney's a champion, you know? And I'm not blaming him. He didn't do nothing. He wants to fight Lomachenko. But he's a champion, and his resume has not improved with the name, the quality of Lomachenko, which is what he wants. That's unfair. That's unfair because now this is what they do. And then this keeps happening to black fighters. Charlo, Devin Haney. We have no black franchise champions. And if you look at it, this is unfair. It's unfair for the media because old media is going to do the same thing they always do. And they're going to say, oh, who is Charlo beat? But if Charlo were able, I'm not saying this is how it would play out, but if he was given the opportunity to fight Canelo and then he beat him, then no one could say anything. If he stopped him, no one could say anything. If he beat him to sit, no one could say anything. But they're being robbed of even the opportunity to do it. You know, same thing with Devin Haney. Now people could just say, oh, he's champion, but who's he beat? He was a champion by technicality, you know, as opposed to if he were to beat Lomachenko, then that shuts mouths up. So fighters are being robbed of an opportunity, especially in these examples. Black American fighters are being robbed of the opportunity to show you what they are capable of or what they aren't capable of. And the fans get robbed by not being able to see it. And it's not just about, oh, I want to see Canelo or Lomachenko or Wilder or whoever lose. But what's the point of working your way up the ladder if it's all bypassed right when you get to the number one spot? I mean, can you imagine? Okay, that's like Big Worm and Friday. You know, he's the ice cream man. He pull up on the block and then he said, man, what you want? What you got? Boy, what the fuck you want? Give me some chili Fritos. And then Chris Tucker come and he's like, hey, what's up, Big Worm? And then they had their little dialogue. Man, you have my money? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Man, that's $100. Stop playing with me, Smokey. And then after they have their conversation and Big Worm is upset because Chris Tucker don't have his money, he already took the chili cheese Frito kid's money and he says, hey, what about them chili cheese Frito? Oh, sorry, fat boy. We closed. My money. That's what it's like. The reason being is like, can you imagine waiting in line to get something? And then you finally get to the head of the line. You get to the front of the line and you place your order. And then they just say, oh, we're closed. That's what's happening to these fighters. You know, the WBC is doing them like Big Worm. Like, sorry, Devin Haney, we closed. He gets all the way to the front of the queue to fight Lomachenko. And then, oh, Lomachenko's done so much, he don't have to fight you now. Now Devin can't prove, you know, he has to fight. He's fighting a guy named Santiago or something, you know, Carlos Santana or whoever the dude is, you know, instead of Lomachenko. It's not his fault. You know, it's just, what a coincidence, you know. Charlo, you know, people, oh, why is he fighting Dennis Hogan? Why is Canelo didn't fight him when he was the mandatory? Why didn't Golovkin fight him when he's the mandatory? No explanation for that. But it's why is Charlo fighting Hogan? And, you know, new media, we're not going to stop. We can't stop, won't stop. Because you know what's going on. Because you and I know what's going on. So shout out to Deontay Wilder, you know, a real champion. And I think he's obviously gotten a lot better and better over the years, public speaking. And he's you know, really the face of boxing to me. Like, I think his star power is growing. You see Canelo's weigh-in is getting smaller. Wilder's hype, he keeps doing more, bro. More and more and more. If he beats Luis Ortiz heading into the Tyson Fury fight, his star power is going to be at an all-time high, you know, and we have to see how that rematch play out. I think I know how to play out, but I'll save that for another video. But this video is to commend Deontay Wilder on just standing for something. This is important. You know, fuck all that I'm from the US, UK, I'm from Mexico, you know, ethnicity, racial, nationalistic pride and gender pride, all this stuff, age, same age, what trainer, what network. This is not even about that. This is about your actual integrity as a sports fan. And Wilder is a man of the people, people's champion. And you'll see how he's received. You'll see how he's received for his actions, saying, hey, don't franchise me. I don't need that. And last thing I want to say is this. It is ironic and funny that you have a lot of people and a lot of people from the UK who tried to create this stigma that Deontay Wilder is so afraid of Dillian White and wants to wait 500, 600 days. And, you know, the WBC's protecting Wilder, right? By not enforcing the Wilder versus White fight, right? So the WBC's protecting the Black American fighter, Wilder, but he's just saying, hey, if it comes my way, not interested. Don't need a franchise title. The mandatories are cool. They work hard and they get frustrated. And then, you know, they want to take something from the king. Cool. They're coming from my throne. Cool. Let's leave it like that. That's what boxing needs. Meanwhile, they're not saying this about Canelo, but his mandatory is Charlo. And he's accepting of the WBC franchise title and being remiss in removed of obligations and responsibilities to fight Charlo. He's not saying, hey, the WBC made this decision, I'm fighting Charlo next. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I still want to fight him. You know, and that's the people are missing that part. Canelo, Lomachenko, you can tell they're going along with it, because if they weren't going along with the game plan, then why doesn't Lomachenko say, hey, I just became the franchise champion, guys, but Devin Haney talked too much, so I'm still fighting him. These guys are supposed to be popular in A-side, so there is no witness protection program that's going to protect them. You're an A-side, you're popular, right? If you want to fight Devin Haney to Lomachenko, if Canelo, the A-side of boxing, right, he can handpick anyone. He can fight Sergey Kovalev 2 divisions up and still be the A-side when he's not even a champion there. He is now, but he wasn't going into the fight. And Kovalev is the champion, and the challenger, based on his popularity, has more pull with the A-side. So how come Canelo can't say, you know what, I'm fighting Charlo next? I don't know what the WBC is talking about, because him and Golden Boy are going along with it. Not only are they going along with it, they instigated this. This is the reason why the WBC has done this. And now you have people like DAZN, which you'll see on the screen, DAZN rep, who's saying like, hey, this is an attempt to stay linked to certain fighters. That's with this whole franchise. And they're commending Wilder. You got DAZN, a DAZN employee, commending Wilder. It is over for old media. You got a DAZN, I repeat, a DAZN employee commending Wilder for being one of the first to make viral headlines about standing down and, you know, not really wanting parts to do with being a franchise champion. He don't need no easy path. That's what boxing is about. These fighters, they fight their whole life. They fight outside the ring, inside the ring. They fight life battles, you know. They don't need no assistance, and if they do, then they're in the wrong sport. They're in the wrong sport. I had to hit y'all with that heat. We Unpacked. Shout out to Wilder, People's Champ. We Unpacked, coming to you live. It's just a bad look, and Wilder made it look worse. Like, he's not gonna say it, but I will. This makes the other champions who accept this fate of a franchise belt, it makes them look worse, because you had Mandatories aggressively pursuing you. Canelo, see, it'd be one thing if Charlo said nothing and he was just quiet and he never spoke. I have videos from my camera that I shot that I will air where Charlo called out Canelo, and he's done it multiple times. There's public videos and Instagram posts and social media where Devin Haney is aggressively calling out Lomachenko, even nicknamed him Nomachenko, said he don't want to fight me, he don't want to fight me. So to add insult to injury, it's not like you have a quiet mandatory who's going quiet and ain't even mentioning you. Your mandatory, this is always happening when the mandatory is pressing you and aggressive and wants what's due to them, you know. Now all of a sudden, now you could say, oh, but Dillian White wants to fight Wilder. He's saying, don't get rid of my mandatories, don't franchise me. So if the WBC rules Dillian White's next, then he can get next. But they ruled that Tyson Fury was next, and that's likely who will fight after Luis Ortiz. Checkmate. Let me know what you guys think. New media. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.